Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Tell your own personal UFO stories. No role-playing allowed, only real shit. 8 years ago, I was 14, Brazilian. I'm on vacation on countryside. It's a water park with a camping space. I always make friends to play all day. Make 2 friends that day. They were brothers, younger than me. It's around 4 p.m., really clear day. We're near a small river, walking around the woods. Suddenly, a weird bee swarm sound begins. It slowly increases intensity. After about 5 seconds, it's so loud the ground trembles a little. Then, this pitch-black rectangular thing passes by really fast. All I was able to see was the shape and color. Pic-related looks a lot like it, but I don't remember seeing those circular lights. I think it was just a little above tree height. It's gone in a second. The sound fades away. I'm in awe, looking at the sky. Look behind, and the 2 kids are running away shitting their pants. Find them later. Ask what we could have seen. They think it was a ghost. I tell my parents. They got spooked. Well, that's my UFO story. What do you think I've seen that day? Do you think it's human or alien tech? After some research, seems like this rectangular UFO is kinda rare. The most common are flying saucers, and they're still rare sights. I never thought much about what happened that day, but now I'm really interested in this topic, and I really want to see more UFOs in my lifetime. Now you tell us your UFO story /X/.
I have plenty since I live in the Midwest, but I'll share my favorite. Be me. 2013. Clear September night. Not a cloud in the sky. Be in my relatively obscure Midwest town in southern Illinois. Sitting by fire in the backyard, watching the stars. Look at phone and switch to Purple Haze by Hendrix. Look up. Sky is pitch black.jpg. No stars.png. Stars start to appear. Notice a line between black and stars. Follow the line with my eyes. See giant blinking red light hovering. See 3 more giant red lights forming the shape of a giant triangle. Rush inside and get family. Family in shock, screaming, "They're real," and other X-Files jargon. Watch as this behemoth emits a strange, quiet, eerie sound over our home and hovers. Watch this triangle the size of 3 747s hover east towards our city's airport. Climbs in altitude the further it travels east. 5 minutes pass as we watch it inch towards the east. 1 light on the craft turns off. Then 2. Then the 3rd. Craft disappears completely in thin air. People always ask why no photos of this phenomenon exist. I was so dumbstruck I don't see how anyone's first reaction could ever be, "I need to document this." Truly one of the most amazing things I have ever seen.
Snuggle around, dear children, and listen to the story I brought you from far away places. December 24th, 2012. Be on the way to my mum for Christmas dinner. 2 friends in car, driving down the highway in Switzerland. Cloudy night, having a good old time in the truck with loud music. All of a sudden, my co-driver looks in the sky, pale like a pound of cocaine. I follow his view. Giant triangle-shaped figure in the sky, illuminating the clouds from below in a bright orange, gives me the honor to lay my eyes upon. Creepiest feeling wave crawls up my spine. Triangle starts pushing its nose downwards. Car enters a tunnel. After we left the tunnel, the triangle was gone. But it won't stop there. The 3 of us were very quiet for the next 30 minutes until we arrived at my mum's place. Parking the car, lighting a cigarette. Get out of the car, take a look over the area, and instantly get this creepy feeling again. One of the guys asks, "Hey, aren't those things the same as earlier?" I look in his direction and see at least 12 glowing orbs in the sky, making wild, random formations. Snow is falling. Orbs are giving us a show for a full 5 minutes. Silent whoosh. .mp3. All of them disappear straight into the sky. Never saw anything ever again since. I was a believer before. Even saw one single orb in my childhood on my schoolway home. But never could I have imagined to witness such a show that night. Fuck the people laughing about aliens and sci-fi. I know what I saw.
I have been abducted occasionally since around 11 or 12 years old. Have a few distant memories of things I've seen spanning over years. Most of the times they visit during the night. I can almost feel the presence beforehand. I'm not afraid anymore, but it just gives me an odd feeling, since I don't really know their exact purpose or what's going on. Lately, I would say after I reached my 30s, I get visited more rarely. I'll share some of it. First time I remember seeing the actual craft was one night and I was out on my bike looking at stars as a kid. Suddenly, a triangular saucer with white beams appeared slowly over the trees. Have no memories after that. I just appeared in another place not very far away, sometime after, like an hour. And I remember looking towards the sky, seeing distant things moving like falling stars. Moved to the United States to live with my girlfriend a couple of years ago, and for what I know, I was left alone. On one occasion, one of her friends made a Facebook status saying she saw a UFO in the same town as we lived in. I messaged her asking what it looked like, just like I was curious about it. And yes, it was the craft I'd seen before. Coincidence? Maybe. Can't recall that I was visited during the time I lived there. Note: my girlfriend's wife had a dog that stayed with us during the time we lived there. And the dog thing. I moved back to Europe a couple of years ago. And yet again, I was visited during the nights. However, since my girlfriend and I bought a puppy, it's been less activity. I don't know if it's only me or that these beings are afraid of dogs, and I think it might have to do with their communication, and that they can't control lesser beings, animals, dogs. Our dog has been going off barking and growling at times during the night. Perhaps it's nothing. I just get the feeling that ever since we had dogs in our house, the activity has been less. However, a couple of days ago, it happened again. Had the worst sleep. Both me and my girlfriend and I just knew when I woke up that weird shit had been going on during the night. Yet our dog was laying next to us in her bed. This time I had 3 marks that became scabs on my back, forming a triangle. I noticed it a day after that night. Our family have a history of these visits too. We never talk about it, but from what I understand, Grandma have experienced these things too, and there's also something going on with great-grandma, which I haven't figured out yet. Over the years, I had remarkably good health. Never been sick until later years. Around 32 years old, I started to get colds and sniffles. And as I mentioned, the activity is less since my 30s. Don't know if it's somehow related.
Not me, but my mother and several of our family members had this happen. They're in their early 20s, all over 50 years old now. On their way home from some event or something fun. There was my mom, her 2 older sisters, and my older cousin who is my mom's niece. They're in an old truck with enough seats for everyone in a crowded car. Decide to take the back roads home. Back road has one side is thick forestry, other side is corn crops. Joking and loud talking interrupted by really bright lights. Lights appear to be coming from above the vehicle. My mom claims she looked at it from outside the window, but it was too bright and imposed a deep fear and dread on her. As several of them frantically try to look at it while they drive off, they begin to cry, all females in the car. They try to outrun it, but it stays directly above them no matter how fast they go. After a few minutes of panicking, the light flies off into the distance. They tell their parents, who say it was probably lights from the crop fields. Several people around town claim to have seen strange lights over that area around the back road. The incident makes it into the local paper for several weeks. Of course, my family explained it in much greater detail. They were tearing up just trying to tell me the story. And my mother isn't the type to make things up, and doesn't believe in supernatural things ever. Anytime I bring alien conspiracy or anything close into conversation, she shrugs it off, but admits she didn't understand what was taking place that day. Aunt swears it was alien.
We were celebrating a national holiday. It is extremely popular where I live. During this national holiday, the city streets would be closed off, and people from all around would take to the city to either walk, party, shop, or to simply meet friends and have a good time. Shops would be open from dawn till near midnight, every shop displaying the merchandise they have on sale. Bars and pubs would always be hosting their own miniature party zone, where people could pay an entree fee to enjoy the music and have a good time. You can't walk down the road without bumping against someone. All in all, it's a fun experience. We eventually found ourselves walking down one of the closed main roads around 10 p.m., which was packed with people. I remember my friend asking me if I had wanted to meet up with a few other friends that were hanging out at a fairly small beach located a mile or so down the street we were currently on. He went on to sell his idea and pointed out the fact that they had also brought a jug with some extra beers, and that we could also stock up at any time if needed, as there was a bar located on the opposite end of the beach. I'd already bought into the idea. In fact, I was getting tired of all the hectic music and screams. I thought to myself that it would be a great idea, as it could essentially serve as a place to hang and have our next round of beer after a tiresome marathon in the city. Furthermore, I have previously been there. It is a pretty lax place, where at oftentimes there would be a fisherman or two on nights where it's high tide. So I opted to go. After walking for about half a mile, debating whether or not we should have gotten something to eat, we had arrived at the bar that was located on the left side of the street. It was fairly quiet and didn't seem to be hosting their party zone that I referred to earlier, as this bar was a bit further from the center of the city. We decided to stop by later for the beers after catching up with the group. So we crossed over to the right side and over an emptied-out parking lot which connects the beach to the street. After a minute or so of walking, we started to see the deck and what we could make out as figures in the dark, which seemed to be having a great time by all the laughs and talking. There were roughly 10 people. Short note: the beach is fairly small, located at the outskirts of the city after crossing a parking lot. It also has a deck that you could walk on in the shape of an L. The kind of decks that people adjust their boats to for mounting, with the horizontal part of an L being vertically adjusted to the shore. People never do tie their boats here, as it is fairly small. I normally need glasses, but I did not have any at that time. As we caught up to the group, we met friend B, who invited friend A and me to come. And just like that, we got to talking and laughing through the night. I can't clearly remember what we talked or laughed about, but I clearly remember at one point through the night, as I was talking with friend A and B, a girl a few feet away who was sitting in a group of 3 said, "There is something moving." I will try to explain as best as I can the course of the following events. As I squinted my eyes, I could briefly, for fractions of seconds at a time, make out what seemed to be a tiny light moving through the sky. It was incredibly high, and did not have the usual light airplanes do, the blinking red and green ones. It also did not seem to be like a satellite, as it seemed to slow down at times and speed up. After a minute, people started getting bored as it seemingly flew over us and was now headed east, still on an incredibly high altitude. I normally need glasses, which is why I could only make out for fractions of seconds at a time a tiny light moving. At one point, I started losing sight of it. I had asked friend A if he could still see it, and if he could point it out for me. Friend A, who had also gotten bored, pointed his finger in the general direction where the moving light should be. I focused on the point he was pointing at, trying to squint my eyes. Well, this is where things got weird. After about 5, maybe 8 seconds, I saw something let out a bright blink of light, northeast, from where friend A was pointing, which should have been the location the light should be on, had it gone straight over us heading east, I thought to myself. No more than 2 seconds after the initial blink. Note my friend was still pointing his finger. Because of this, I was already focusing on that point. I still can't explain it. The place where my eyes were focused on, I saw what seemed to be like a fire spiral that had appeared out of literally nowhere, which did half a twist and proceeded to let something out that seemed to be like a fireball. Note an actual moving fireball. The fireball traversed over a couple of buildings, eventually over the bar, another parking lot to the side of the bar, and about 100 meters or so down to a motel. As it was traversing over the bar and the parking lot building, the flames on the front started to give out. Entering the 100-meter gap span, I could start to make out what seemed to be a shiny, almost metallic tip in the front. As the object was moving, the flames started to get extinguished. Within the 100-meter gap, the flames got extinguished to a point where I could start to make out half a window, which seemed to be emitting light. A veil is the best I can call it. It seemed like the heat you can see running off cars or off roads on a hot summer day. This veil started covering the front, metallic tip of this object as the flames were nearing half of the window. As it covered the object, it seemed to have caught up with the flames of fire, and everything that got caught in this heat wave disappeared, the object and the flames combusting from it. This occurred right at the end of the 100-meter span and the beginning of a motel. Note that the fireball was fairly low as it was traversing over these buildings. Some people in the group stood up because they thought it was going to crash against the motel. A seemingly large object seemed to have simply disappeared within a couple of meters from what should have been the initial impact. I don't have a degree in physics, but it seemed highly unlikely for such a huge object to have simply disappeared. There was no damage caused to the motel or the surrounding area, no falling debris. It also seemed impossible for it to have disintegrated within the end of the 100-meter span without leaving any debris. I woke up the next day and checked the papers to see if there had been any accidents regarding buildings or asteroids. Nothing.
This is a story from my mother. It's not particularly enlightening, but it really makes you think. Similar to that anon's previous post, she's also not prone to hyperbole. 60-something-year-old upper-middle-class English lady. Pretty much a straight arrow, etc. Sometime during the late 1950s, in East Anglia, England, she's riding the bus home from school as a child. Glint of light catches her eye. Spots a cigar-shaped object in the sky. Object is also reported to have been seen by others in the area. To this day tells me it was not a plane. This sighting would later go on to become the talk of the town. My grandfather, a local landowner and army major, saw it too and was interviewed by several newspapers on account of his high standing within the community. General consensus was that it wasn't an aeroplane. Hard to keep anonymous if I give too much detail. However, during World War II, my grandfather's land was utilised by the US Air Force as an air base, and my grandfather was familiar with planes. It's worth noting that we have several US air bases in this area of the country, and I've grown up accustomed to seeing all manner of military planes fly overhead. during the 2011 military intervention in Libya, you'd see planes leave all the time, for example. But I've never seen anything strange enough to consider it a UFO, so we're also around half an hour's drive from Lakenheath, where this incident happened a few years prior to my mother's sighting.
I have some weird ones. 2 of mine, one of a friend's, which is the spookiest. I've posted the first 2 here before, maybe some of you guys will remember them. I might as well share them. First encounter. Mid-high school, so like 16 years old. Hanging out in my upstairs loft room of my house playing video with some friends. One of us looks out the window. Here, yo, what the fuck, guys? What are you talking about? Look out the fucking window. Look out the window and see 3 lights in a fixed triangular formation moving slowly east across sky. What the actual hell? Could not have been an airplane, the thing was big. Like real big. Individual lights themselves were not that large, but the area they spanned was pretty sizable. Keep slowly flying away as we freak out and continue staring at it, not really knowing what to do. In haste, I record a super short video, still on old busted laptop somewhere. There are military bases and air routes that go in various directions that passed over my house. That's what I still think it was. Some unreleased tech flying around. Looked a lot like PIC-related, except my occurrence was late at night and the lights were a deeper shade of red-orange. Still don't really know what it was. Now on to the second story. It's quite similar. Several years since the original sighting of the triangle. Still live in the same neighborhood, 18 years old now. Picking up a friend in my car who also lives in the neighborhood. As we are heading down one of the roads in the neighborhood, he stops talking mid-conversation. What the fuck is that? What are you talk? Oh God. See another triangular form of lights, same color but this time in a much flatter, wider layout. Like, the first time it looked as if the craft, or whatever it was flying on its side. This time the lights were almost all pointed to the ground. See a blinking white light at the end. It's a helicopter. Helicopter remains at a steady following distance and they are moving in the same direction and speed. Stare at it until it begins to leave view and then give chase. Friend's house we were headed to was on the way anyways. Stare at it until it's out of view, kinda spooked. Later on at the same friend's house we were going to previously. Talking about UFO experiences with a friend. His is the scary one and next I'll be posting. He brings up if anyone saw the helicopter chasing lights a couple days ago. Like the other sighting, there were multiple witnesses. Whatever we all saw was definitely real and not an illusion. But again, I have no idea what it was, and my best guess is some weird military shit. And on to the third and weirdest, scariest of them all. This was the story from the friend in the previous Greentext and 2 other friends. We'll call them friends 1, 2, and 3. Story begins on the highway where many sightings are. Friends 1 and 2 are in a car driving down the interstate. One of them sees some sort of flying lights in the sky and gets the other's attention. Both are viewing it now. Definitely not a plane, definitely not a helicopter. The thing flies off, assuming it blipped out of view, and they begin ruling out what it could have been. The night passes, and the instance was weird but somewhat ignored by both of them. The next day, they both carpool to work. When friend 2 gets back, his mom says there were people asking for him at the front door while he was gone. She describes them as 2 men wearing black suits and sunglasses, literal men in black. Friend is mortified, especially at the fact that he had not told her what he had seen. She couldn't be pranking them. When she told the men he was away, they simply turned around and left. Only gets weirder from here. At this point, friend 2 is pretty spooked, heads to friend 1's house to hang out. This is where friend 3 comes into play. They all three are hanging out, and friend 2 informs them of what happened. Somewhat spooks friend 1 as well because he was also there. Eventually, they feel like other people are in the house, like the feeling of another presence in the air. House is also quite likely haunted, and there have been multiple deaths in it, but that is a whole other Greentext. They hear rummaging in the garage but are too scared to investigate. All people and animals are in the same room, mind you. Eventually, they all call it a night, and friend 2 decides to stay the night while friend 3 leaves to drive home. He swears up and down that the second he left the driveway, he began being followed by another vehicle. He said it was probably either a motorcycle or car with busted headlight because of only one visible light. Follows him turn after turn. Since a lot of his route back home is common local roads, he begins taking out of the way back roads to see if he still gets followed. And what do you know, the vehicle is still on his ass the whole time. He's really scared at this point. Finally gets home, the vehicle is still following. Runs inside and notices it slow past his house but keep driving. Shuts the window and tells friends the next day. My friends and I have all had several UFO and just general X experiences, but this was absolutely terrifying for them. It was about a 2 or 3 week span of activity, and then everything resumed being normal. No noises, no getting followed, no copy-paste men in black figures. All of them are extremely rational and would not come up with stories. I don't make friends with LARPers. Nothing that we know of has really ever come of it. That doesn't mean nothing has changed, we just are not aware of it.
Be me, visiting friends in California, driving home to Portland, touristing, stopping at lookouts and pullovers to take photos. In the mountain pass of southern Oregon, middle of the day, around 1:30 p.m. It's sort of overcast, cloudy, damp, occasional showers, but not raining. Flash of light, look up, silver disc-shaped thing drops from cloud. It's about a 70-degree angle from the car to object out the driver's side window. Thing sort of hovers, wavers there a second, wobbling a bit. Reach for the camera on the seat next to me. In the blink of an eye, object zips from the mountain pass highway, across this valley, to a smaller cluster of hills, about 20 to 40 miles away. Snap photo. It's no good. Object is too far away. Can't zoom or resolve the image. Fucking keck.
I've had 4 sightings in the past 7 years, but the best one I've ever seen happened in September. At the cottage with my parents and sister. Go for a walk after dinner, completely sober of mind. Walk towards an empty summer camp where there are some basketball nets and shoot some hoops. While playing, look up and see a bright light in the western sky above me. Too early for stars, 1815. And I've never seen this before. Start walking back to the cottage while keeping a close eye on the light. Get to the cottage, grab my telescope, tell my dad to turn on his sky map app. Find objects in a telescope using a 26mm eyepiece and a 2x Barlow. It's prosaic, near translucent in color, but with purple lights on the side. With the naked eye, it doesn't seem to be moving, but having to constantly adjust the telescope to follow it. My dad, sister, and 2 neighbors all saw it, and we watched it for 45 minutes when it moved west to south. Tried to get a photo of it, but only had my phone and could not snap through the eyepiece without a glare. Took photo with my phone, and it just looks like a normal star. I know what the ISS planets and satellites look like in a telescope, but this was entirely different. Eventually, it drifts behind the mountain ridge, and we lose sight of it at 1910. Next day, go for a walk along the ATV trail. Hear what sounds like a jet flyover. Look up and see what I think was a drone, shaped like a goose and super quick, not like any plane I've seen. No military bases for 500 miles. It was by far the strangest, most memorable evening of my life.
Camping in Wilson Prom, Victoria, Australia. Me and the boys had a couple of beers, talking about anything that night. We sat outside of our tent, on those camping chairs. It was dark. No lights at all in that area except the toilets that are 10 minutes walk away. Started gazing at the stars. First time seeing so many stars. Spotted a few shooting stars. Then all of us spotted a tiny star flying across the sky, from the bottom of the visible skyline all the way to the other side. A 180-degree angle across in about less than a minute. It was moving too slow for a shooting star and too fast for commercial flights. Friend says it might be a satellite. I don't know. Spectacular anyways.
Okay, so my story is not exciting or as dumb as most /X/related stories are, but here it is anyway. Be me. Went outside to look at the stars. Live in Australia next to an airport. Note where my favorite nebula is, M44, Pleiades. Mars is located to the right. In between Mars and M44, there is a weird nebula I've never seen before. 3 dots on top and 2 underneath between the top 3. Stare at it for a while. Why have I never noticed this before? It's bright. Go inside to check my star map, just the Google one. Nothing is supposed to be there. Go back outside, still there. Can't be a plane since it's not moving. Go back inside and check a different star map. Nope, nothing. Go back outside, still there. Super bright and stationary. Can't be a space station or satellite. Go back inside. Again, try to figure out what it is. Go outside. It's gone. About 3 to 4 years later, some UFOs spotted from outside of a passenger plane apparently had the same shape. Well, 2 dots on top and 3 underneath. This was quite a few years ago, so it wasn't a drone or anything. Still don't know what it could have been.
Mine's not that outlandish. I've never seen a UFO up close, but I believe the thing I've seen was one. Here goes. Summer some 7 years ago. Me and a friend are staying outside late to stargaze and tell stories. About 2 a.m., quiet and clear night. See a dot of light move against the starry background of the sky. Not a plane, but we figure it's a satellite or something. We've watched live feed from the ISS before, and it passes overhead every once in a while and is visible. We keep watching it for a few minutes. I start joking it's aliens, that it's a UFO that will land and abduct us. Friend laughs, pulls out his dick and starts waving it around. Yes, he has autismo. I join in, 'cause why not? Yes, I also have autismo. The object makes a 180 turn in the sky, like in place, keeps going the other way until it vanishes over the horizon. We slightly shit our pants, but chalk it up to falling stars and whatnot, and we go about our night. That's about it. The turn it pulled was instantaneous, no turning radius or anything. I don't think we have tech or satellites that can pull that off, but I might be mistaken.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.